All right, so a topic that should get us, back on track and give us some smiles and put us back on a good note here is we've got our first round of viewer comments. So these are some older ones from like our first couple rounds of videos, and we'll try to post as much of these as possible and interact with folks. I'm trying to respond to as many of them as I can because we really do want to be interactive with the audience. If you guys like something, dislike something, think that there's something that we're doing well that we can improve on, please. If there's questions you want us to, topics you want us to talk about, throw them in the comments. We're more than happy to interact with all of you. So the first one here is we got from Maximilian228, which is good shit, Jake. Keep it up. This is from the Elimination Chamber. He was actually at the show and was still digesting everything that went down. I thought that was awesome that in our first, one of our first real big shows and topics that we had people talking about that were actually at the show and interacting. That's something, too, where if you're ever at a show and want to give us a little report or talk about it, hit me up through YouTube, Twitter, whatever. I went to a show this year myself and had so much fun. So I know how awesome those topics are to talk about. So, and then the other one that I thought would be a good one for us to bring up a little bit here was from Jamie Earhart, one of our old friends from the Pro Wrestle Times, Pro Wrestle Clips chat. We love Jamie for sure. It says Gunther and Jay should open up one of the days the way the audience loved Jay, open up with a bang and set the stage. My response to that, which I've said from the moment Jay won the Royal Rumble, that match should just lead off WrestleMania altogether.
I thought so.
Right? Like, right. If that doesn't get you set off in the right mood, like whatever happens in the match, fine. But that moment of every +2, let's be real. Not all wrestling fans have the best cardio in the, they're not the most cardiovascular folks. So getting that yeet out while everyone's still got the energy is be a good move for sure. So we thank you both for your comments. Please continue to add them. We're very happy to have good comments, interaction with our fans. Some other ones that we got here was from Daniel Krager 1102 and my old buddy, the Exact Change Man. Both of them kind of in the same level of that there's too much content, since time is limited, you got to pick and choose and usually, watch Raw, SmackDown and listen. I thought this was good where he said, listen to the Cornette and Last review of Dynamite and Collision. I'm usually in the same boat. I will say I watch NXT as well. And I've been trying to watch TNA more, but normally I'll watch like a recording of that so I can kind of skip certain things and make sure I miss through the commercials just because there is only so much time in the day. And then the Exact Change Man, Brian here brought up a good point that with the Netflix price increase and enough people doing watch-alongs of Raw, maybe just if you enjoy that better, just cancel those and consume the product the way you want to, which is a topic that I liked because this is why I don't get too wrapped up in ratings discussions because everyone's worried about, this many people saw, this many people watch, like, or when people compare it to the Attitude Era of 10 million people watching on TV, like, yeah, that's because how everybody consumed the product then. So many people now watch it through YouTube clips. And I mean, usually the Raw highlights are almost an hour or over an hour long from Raw. Same with SmackDown, or you can go through Twitter and catch most of the show live if you watch. That's usually how I consume AEW pay-per-views instead of trying to pay the $50. I'll just watch the highlights through Twitter. So it's one of those things that, for me personally, I will always still watch Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. And I do like, as we talked about before, the more documentary and historical type shows like Rivals and Biographies and Greatest Moments. But, LFG is just something that I have not had the time for and not really wanted to make the time for, unfortunately.
Yeah. When you meant the previous comment about the too much content available, I think if you go back to our YouTube show, you will see an episode dedicated to that.
Yes.
Clip. Yeah.
These are comments from that. These are kind of comments.
Okay.
Yeah. These were comments from that of just, no, you're good. We put out a lot of different stuff. This is one of those from that initial bonus take there of just people kind of agreeing with that of but that's also back to a point that I made on that video of it's not I mean, there are some people that are completionists and they do want to watch everything, but I don't feel like WWE is putting everything out for everybody. They're trying to put stuff out that's going to appeal to every different type of person. That's kind of like why they're doing the roast of WrestleMania, but they also have the Slammies, or they also have what is it? The Undertaker's dead one dead man show.
Yeah.
And a lot of different things to give people options of what to do. And I feel like so many people, and this is more of an online thing where people complain like, oh, that's just too much. How can anybody go and do all of that? There's nobody that really does go to all of that. And the people that are complaining on Twitter. Yeah. And the people that are usually complaining from home, they're not going to any of it. They're living in mom's basement and not able to afford any of it. They're not going to even the shows in their local area. So, and then the last round is some comments that we have here. Back to Daniel Krager giving us some good information too. According to Mike Johnson from PWI, Hendry's contract runs until late 2025, which I feel like was close to what we were saying. I thought it was early 2026, but that does make sense. And that's something I wanted to really put over and thank Daniel for, is helping us out. We have said before, we are not people that are we are not the news. We are not scoopsters. We're not trying to break any news. We're both older guys that do go online and pay attention to things, but we don't know everything. So if there's something that we get wrong, or that was a question that I asked, I think if anybody knows that. So please, by all means, continue to give us that information. We love that. Our buddy Anthony here, Anthony8906. This was in reference to talking again about the shows and all the different options that they have out there. But this is back to the all women show. Was I think if you do an all women show, you're going to divide the fan bases up, and there's going to be people that tune in to watch Raw and they're looking for their favorite women and they're not there. And that's something that I totally understand and get as well. And that is something that I thought if they're going to do a women's show, it would almost have to be like a break from, and it'd have to be like the NXT type or like the women developmental show. And I think now with Evolve, like the idea of a women's show is not really going to happen. It's not something that's going to.
Have you heard anything further on Evolution, July 5th?
I haven't. No, I have not. I've heard people talking about that, but I didn't know. When is Money in the Bank?
Oh, I don't know.
I just said that's usually the one in July. So but I mean, they've clearly shown that they can draw houses anywhere and everywhere. So I feel
it's a good problem to have, Jake. It's
right?
Really
yeah, it really is. Yeah, and I mean, these European houses have shown that there is a thirst and a hunger for it. And then, excuse me. And then the last viewer comment that we have there is again from Daniel, and we thank you so much for interacting with us. And this was from the first show, but I purposely left this one last because I thought it was kind of a good question to bring us into. What was the moment that really made you a wrestling fan? Like, what was there a specific moment or a specific time? I don't know. Do you want to go first, George? If you have something, I've got something kind of built up here and ready. If you want me to go first, I didn't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. So for me, it's a very simple, there's like a very clear moment for me of what it is. And it's the Undertaker's debut. And I can remember it clearly because that would have been 90 or 91. So I'm 8-9 years old, and I lived in a cul-de-sac in my mom's area. And the kid at the end of the cul-de-sac, his parents, actually, it's funny, it was his mom who was the big wrestling fan. Like, his dad watched, but his mom was really into it, and she would order the pay-per-views, and all the kids in the neighborhood would come over to there. And, I can remember that Survivor Series of people like really getting into it. We were cheering and having fun, and everybody just shut up when The Undertaker came out. And I mean, this is probably like 10, 12 kids between, 7 and 10 years old that are just
weren't ready for that.
No. And then that's like the Roddy Piper. Like, that's why I love when they show the replays of it, of Roddy just yelling, "Look at the size of that ham hock." Cause I can remember sitting on the floor, like looking at the TV in the corner, the old tube box TV, and just us being immediately enthralled. And then cut to not even a year later, because I always said The Undertaker just enthralled me, and I was intrigued by him, but I wasn't really a fan, but I was just always intrigued by it. But when he quote unquote beat Hogan with Flair put in the chair and all that, and he hurt Hogan's neck, brother, even though his head was 4 inches off the ground, but whatever. Or what was it that? Oh, you squeezed my neck too tight, brother. I was hurt. I was the only kid that cheered that at that party. I don't know if that was a pay-per-view or if that was a Saturday night main event. Whatever that was, we were back at the same kid's house because I can remember being in a different area in his house and watching that. So it's through those two reasons is why, to this day, as a 42-year-old man, I'm still on. If you make me give a Mount Rushmore or list my top wrestlers, it's like Undertaker and then the rest. Because I was also at WrestleMania 26 with Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, so I saw that live. So just done. Like I will always be a fan of him and that time. So that's my answer. Is those moments of him in the early 90s taking over really hooked me, and to this day I'm still hooked.
Nice. Yeah. I will go back a little further.
Right, I figured that.
1981, my parents got cable TV. And I was able to catch, I was out of wrestling pretty much, just other things. I'm 17, I think, at the time, or 15, yeah. So they got cable, and I was able to watch Georgia Championship Wrestling. I was introduced to Georgia Championship Wrestling, Ric Flair, the Four Horsemen. Right from that point on, I'm in.
Yeah.
So cable TV was the turning point for me.
I could see that. Yeah, no, because it was... For me, that was already kind of in existence by the time I was getting, because I could see how that moment would really kind of be that big turn when you're always having it available and knowing when it was going to be and not being And the thing about regional and territory wrestling, like while it was great, most of the time you had people kind of going in and out and circling through. But when you had, especially with the Horsemen being that staple, like they were always going to be on TV. They had the belts. They won the title. Like they were, that makes a lot of sense. It's also too, like, what's funny for me, it's funny you say that about like, being 15, 16 and being out of it, but then being brought back in. So yeah, really into it in the early 90s, even to like 92, 93. But then I start to get a little older and get into middle school and high school and kind of drift away. And then cut back to The Undertaker. I didn't watch it live because it was on pay-per-view and I wasn't watching. But, King of the Ring 96, where I'm 15 and he throws, he throws Mankind off the thing or off the cage, and you hear about it, and then like you can see like a grainy GIF online where they post there, and I tuned into Raw that night because I heard about it at school the next day.
Yeah,
it's or one of those things. Yeah, or you hear about it with friends, and you remember being like, oh, this is something that you really want to be locked into. And that brought me kind of back into starting to watch. And then you have the Monday Night Wars and all of that going into it. But, even then, it's kind of like Godfather 3, just when I thought I was out, Undertaker drags me back in by throwing Mick Foley off the cage, which it's leading up to 3 days from now with Dark Side of the Ring. That's going to be the premiere episode for Dark Side of the Ring season 6, and real excited to watch that. Which, if that's something that people want us to review or talk about, again, put it in the comments. We are more than happy to have discussions, like to discuss and talk. We can review types of shows and see what we like.
I have a challenge for the commenters.
Please
comment as to why I should start watching NXT, because I don't watch it right now.
There you go. I like that. That actually could be a good topic too. I could try to bring in some notes and different things of why I think you should watch it, because I really thoroughly enjoy it. So that's a good idea. Good topic. That's a smart one. We always need topics and things to discuss for the show. We're not trying to talk about the exact same things everybody else talks about or do the same stuff that everybody does. We want to be different. We want to be interactive. So please, make sure to subscribe. Hit the like button, share the channel, tell your friends, join us on Sunday nights for Spaces. Stay tuned for my Twitter account usually they'll be at 8:05 p.m. Eastern, depending on different times and different things in people's lives. We might have to change things up at different times, but we'll let everybody know. But But yeah, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, please leave a comment. George, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up before we head out for the day?
That'll do it.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. We love you all. Peace. Have a good one.